So welcome back. Due to technical snag, it got disconnected when we were speaking about the classification of dynamometers. Right. So let us start with the types of dynamometers. So what's happening here? Based on the actual syllabus of y'all, there are three types of dynamometers. One is the absorption dynamometer, driving dynamometer, and transmission dynamometer. So you have to understand what is the meaning of all these three types of dynamometers. First one is absorption dynamometer. So the name only suggests what do you mean by absorption dynamometers? So these dynamometers absorb the mechanical energy in the form of force or the vice versa and provide the required amount of the torque which has to be measured. And hence it is particularly useful for measuring the power or the torque developed by any power sources such as engines or electric motors. So either the engine or electric motor needs some amount of mechanical energy in order to start up. So these type of dynamometers helps in absorbing the mechanical energy in the form of force, and it converts into the torque which is to be measured. And from once the torque is measured, you can determine the amount of power needed in order to run the systems such as engines or electric motors, and hence the name it is called as absorption dynamometer. Next is driving dynamometer. So what happens in driving dynamometer? These dynamometers measures power or torque and as well as provide energy to operate the devices to be tested. So the name only suggests, so these are the dynamometers which helps in driving. Right. So the first one was only the absorption dynamometer, which absorbs the mechanical energy and convert into the torque and the power, which are needed in order to make the system run, such as engines and electric motors. But driving dynamometer is quite different. What happens? It helps the device to be operated and to be tested. That's what it helps in driving the machine what you are using. So these dynamometers measure power or torque. Along with that, they also provide energy to operate the devices to be tested. So it provides the required energy in order to make any device to be operated apart from measuring power and torque. So it has an advanced version when you compare with that of absorption dynamometer because it helps only in measuring either the torque or the power. But here, along with the measurement of the torque and the power, it is able to drive or able to run the device which has to be tested. And hence, it is useful in determining various performance characteristics of devices such as pumps, compressors, etc. So if we use driving dynamometers in pumps, it helps to operate the pump and lift the water from the low level to higher head, whatever is the requirement. I also it could be used in the compressor, so which helps to run the compressor for the useful work. So it is an extra attachment to that of absorption dynamometer. So driving dynamometer, as name suggests, it helps in it helps in measuring power and torque, and it also provides the kick or the energy needed to operate the devices to be tested. So this is about the driving dynamometer. So next you should know what do you mean by transmission dynamometers. So these transmission dynamometers are called as passive devices which are placed at an appropriate location within a machine or in between machines to sense the torque at that location. So what do you understand from this? In case of transmission, the name itself suggests it helps to transmit the needed uh, values with respect to the location. So these are called as the passive devices, and these devices could be placed at appropriate location within a machine or in between machines to sense the torque at that location. Suppose you will be having a huge machine, in between you have to check the variation of the torque, so that you can use the transmission dynamometer within the machine or in between the machines where the value of torque is essential. And the other aspect what you have to understand is they neither add nor subtract the transmitted energy or power and are sometimes referred to as the torque meters. So the torque value what is being measured with respect to each location, that will not be either integrated or added, and or that will not be subtracted also, but sometimes it could be referred to as torque meters because it helps in providing the value of the torque at that particular location, and hence the name transmission dynamometer. So what you should understand is, in absorption dynamometer, it absorbs the mechanical energy and helps in measurement of torque and the power. But whereas in case of driving dynamometer, it helps in measuring power and torque. Along with that, it provides the energy for the device to run or operate, and hence the name driving dynamometer. So example for these are pumps and compressors. Whereas for example for absorption dynamometers are like engines or electric motor. And third one I told you now, which helps in identifying the value of torque at different locations. So it will be specific value for that particular location, and hence these torque values could not be added together or subtracted. It just provides you the potential value of the torque at that particular location, and hence sometimes it is also called as torque meters. Apart from this, the first two types which was been discussed now as absorption and driving dynamometers are called as mechanical and electrical dynamometers. Why? Because absorption dynamometer is called as mechanical dynamometer because it absorbs the mechanical energy and generates the amount of torque and the power, and hence the name mechanical dynamometer. And for the second driving dynamometer, it is called as electrical dynamometers. Why? Because it helps in converting the torque into the electrical signal in the form of voltage, which helps the operator to run, and hence the name electrical dynamometer. So in order to make the device to run, you should be having some voltage or electrical signal. So the amount of the signal generated depends upon the amount of power or the torque is being measured, and hence the name electrical dynamometer. So in that you have a main example called as an Prony brake dynamometer. So it is there in the syllabus. So the most important type of dynamometer is the Prony brake dynamometer. So this is how the block diagram of an Prony brake dynamometer looks like. Okay, so a Prony brake dynamometer consists of two wooden blocks. So these are mounted diametrically opposite on a flywheel. So Prony brake dynamometer consists of a flywheel and two wooden blocks. So this flywheel is housed between two wooden blocks. So one block carries out of this, one block carries a lever arm. So before that, let us make you understand the functionality of a flywheel. So the function of a flywheel is to store the excess amount of energy generated, and they reuse it whenever is been needed. So this will be rotated with the help of a shaft. So flywheel will be mounted on the shaft, and this flywheel is housed by two wooden box, one at the top and other at the bottom. So the bottom wooden box will be connected to an lever arm. So this lever arm will be connected to the dead weight which will be added on. So along with that, you will be having the blocks which are being tightened by using nut and spring mechanism. So the pulley here, the rope between the top and the bottom wooden block will be constrained, will be tightened by using the nut and the spring mechanism. And or else it could be like this also. So this is the only portion of the flywheel where it has been housed by two wooden blocks, wooden block one at the top and wooden block one at the bottom. So this is the output flywheel of the machine. So you have an outer diameter and an inner diameter. So a tightening arrangement is been used in order to tighten the rope which is passing through the wooden blocks. So this is about the arrangement. Here one block will carry an lever arm and an arrangement is provided to tighten the rope which is connected to the arm. So you can see one arm. So this is one of the wooden arm which is connected to the lever. So the other wooden box will be provided with tightening mechanism which helps in tightening the rope which passes through the flywheel. So this is the bottom, right? So you have the wooden block here, one at the bottom and one at the top. So this wooden block will be connected to the lever arm with the help of a rope. So this rope will be tightened by using a tightening arrangement. So the rope is tightened so as to increase the frictional resistance between the blocks and the flywheel. Why the rope is being tightened? Because it helps in increasing the frictional force between. The frictional force should increase between the flywheel and the block. So to enhance the frictional force between the flywheel and the block, so this rope is tightened by using the tightening arrangement. So when it helps in, as a result, it helps in increasing the frictional resistance between the blocks and the flywheel. So then when the frictional force has been increased, we can determine the torque exerted by the Prony brake dynamometer. So how it will be calculated? So torque will be equal to the force applied into the length of the rope, length of the lever arm from the center of the shaft to where the weight is being added. So this is the entire length from the center of the flywheel to the end where you have placed the weight. So this entire length is called as, entire distance is called as the length from the center of the shaft to the tip where the weights are being added. And hence the torque value will be equal to the frictional resistance into the length of the arm, lever arm. By using these two formula, we can determine the value of torque. So here F is measured by conventional force measuring system. So normal conventional force measuring system we do use to measure the value of force, like either balances or load cell. Everyone knows how a load cell operates. We have performed an experiment also on it. So mainly load cell are used to measure the conventional force, right? So when you apply the dead weights into the load cell, so you can measure what is the amount of force being generated or measured, right? So by using the frictional resistance, we can determine the value of F by using the load cells. So once the value of load cell has been determined, then we can determine the amount of power dissipated in the brake by using this equation, where P is equal to 2 pi nt upon 60. So this instead of nt, you can replace torque with the value of F into N, right? So torque, sorry, 2 pi N is there, 2 pi N is there. So instead of torque, we are writing the value of the frictional resistance into the length of the lever arm. So you can replace T, the torque, with the help of values of frictional force and the length of the lever arm, but still the value of the power remains the same. So a Prony brake system is used in order to measure the torque and the power, right? So first we will determine the value of the torque and then we use the formula to determine the value of power in the units of watts. But these Prony brake dynamometer have certain limitations. So what are these limitations that you have to understand? Since the flywheel will be rotating and it is housed with the help of wooden blocks only, it helps in increasing the wear when the flywheel started rotating. So due to increase in the wear of the wooden blocks, what happens is the coefficient of the friction keeps on varying between the blocks and the flywheel, and hence this requires a continuous tightening of the clamp. If it is not clamped properly, then you won't get a constant coefficient of friction and it starts fluctuating. Therefore, the system becomes unsuitable for measurement of large amount of powers, especially when it is used for a longer period of time. If it is being used to measure power for a small period of time, so much of wear will not come into picture. But if when you are using this one Prony brake dynamometer for measurement of power, that too large amount of power for long period of time, it results in continuous wear among the wooden blocks, and as a result, even though the tightening mechanism is used to tighten properly, due to where there will be constant variation in the coefficient of friction, and as a result it will not be suitable for measuring the large powers, that too for continuous period of time. So this is one of the limitation. Second is the use of Prony brake results in excessive temperature rise, which results in decrease in coefficient of friction, leading to the brake failure. The second limitation is if the Prony brake system is being used continuously, what happens? It results in excessive temperature rise in the temperature. So due to rise in the temperature, it results in decrease of coefficient of friction. Always remember, when there is variation in the temperature, it makes the coefficient of friction come downwards, and when the coefficient of friction is not constant, and when it starts fluctuating, and when it starts degrading or reducing, it leads to a brake failure. So in order to overcome this problem, in order to limit the temperature rise, always cooling is required. A proper arrangement for providing the cooling facility when the Prony brake dynamometer is running has to be taken care. Then only the effect of temperature could be overcome, and you can get a constant value of coefficient of friction, which will not lead for the brake failure. So these are the limitations could be overcome. So next is when the machine torque is not constant, the measuring arrangement is subjected to oscillations. So suppose if the torque value what you are getting is not constant, then what happens? The measuring arrangement is subjected to n number of oscillations, and due to this there may be changes in the coefficient of the friction, and hence reading of the value of force also becomes very difficult. So these three are the main drawbacks of Prony brake dynamometer. So what are first? First one is related to the wear of the wooden blocks, which has to be overcome, or else it should be used only for small power measurements. Okay, if it cannot be suitable for measuring large amount of powers for a longer period of time. The second one is the use of Prony brakes results in excessive temperature rise, which results again decrease in the coefficient of friction, and hence in order to overcome the loss or variation in the coefficient of friction, one has to use the cooling effect. Some alternative arrangement for continuous cooling effect if you can make, then this limitation can be overcome. Third one is always the machine torque is not constant. The measuring arrangement is subjected to oscillations. Therefore, changes in coefficient of friction occur and the readings of the force may be difficult. So you have to see that almost you get a uniform torque without subjecting into many number of oscillations. So if the oscillations are controlled, almost you can try to get an constant amount of torque. If you won't get that constant amount of torque, it helps in changing the coefficient of friction. So once the coefficient of friction changes, it becomes difficult to identify the value of force. So these are the three limitations associated with Prony brake dynamometer. Apart from that, you have to understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of Prony brake dynamometer. So advantages are it is very simple in construction. It is a simple construction principle where it could be easily built up, and also the amount of cost used in constructing an Prony brake dynamometer is cheap and it is not expensive. and this is almost suitable for measurement of only small amount of powers that I told you while explaining its concepts also. Okay, so it is suitable to measure the power, that too of small amount, and it is not too expensive, and it is very simple to construct and Prony brake dynamometer. After knowing the advantages, you should know what are the disadvantages. Disadvantage is it is not suitable for large power. Why? We studied in the limitations, right? Due to the wear, the coefficient of friction keeps on varying between the blocks and the flywheel, and this requires continuous tightening of the clamp, and hence it is almost suitable to measure small powers, not large powers. So that is the reason it is not suitable for large power. Then to overcome the second limitations here related to cooling effect, you have to mention that cooling system is very much essential in order to overcome the effects of temperature on the Prony brake dynamometer. So the third disadvantage is shaft is not uniform and dynamometer is subjected to severe oscillations. So if the shaft is not uniform, then only oscillations comes into the picture. So this is one of the disadvantage. So that we studied here, right? The result, when the machine torque is not constant, if the shaft is not uniform, then you won't get then you will be having variation in the oscillations. Due to that, the amount of torque what you obtain will not be an constant value, and hence reading the force will become difficult, and also it keeps on changing coefficient of friction, and hence always it is suggested that shaft should be uniform, then only dynamometer will not be subjected to severe oscillations and variation in the coefficient of friction. So these are the advantages and disadvantages related to our Prony brake dynamometer. So in the next class, we will be dealing with what do you mean by rope brake dynamometer. So that covers the measurement of torque and power. So or later we have to start up with the pressure measurements. For that, we should understand what you mean by pressure, how pressure measurements are being calculated, what are the terminologies needed. Okay, and how to measure static and dynamic pressures, which type of measuring devices are there. So all these things we will study in our next class. So we have completed one part of measurement. So today, that is the measurement of torque or the power. So which devices are being used, that also we have studied with respect to classification of dynamometers, and we dealt with one important dynamometer today, that is the Prony brake dynamometer. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Uh, Currently, I hope you have a next class. So we will wind up today here, and remaining part I will take down in the next class. Thank you and take care. Bye bye.